You went ultra Midwest on us for a moment.
Sorry.
Just squeeze right by you.
Excuse me. Sorry.
Oh.
It's bad when you notice enough that you're like, even have to say it in chat. Like, sorry about that. I completely missed it.
It should be a macro at that point. Just like one button press. So just,
Is there a mayonnaise emoji? Because that would suffice.
There has to be.
Just a maple flag or a maple leaf. Damn it.
Good job.
Sorry. Sorry, bud. That's what you say right after you board somebody face first into the glass. Sorry there, bud.
Sorry about those chiclets there, pal.
Fucking 2-ply, 10-ply, aren't you? Man, I messed that up. I had one line.
Hey, you know who plays a lot of hockey? Michiganders.
It's true.
And you know who's a very, very popular Michigander? You may not.
Kid Rock?
Let's go to the music. Just fucking go to the music. Welcome to the Midwest Goodbye podcast.
90 seconds in, we've already derailed it. Jay, it's a new course record. Sorry, you were saying?
No, I don't know the fuck. I was saying I had a segue, and then
you did.
It was absolutely pile driven into the sun. But that's okay, because we're going to pick it back up, because we are not talking about just any artist today. This is our one song segment where we look through an artist's entire discography and we provide you the very best song, the very best of what that artist has to offer based on whatever criteria we determine. Today, we are covering, I don't know how we haven't covered her before. When you get the nickname the Queen of Pop, you're doing something pretty good, right?
You'd think so.
You would think. 14 studio albums would certainly lend to that. Several soundtracks, several movie starring roles, and a whole bunch of other stuff just in the pop culture zeitgeist. You don't even need a last name when you're as popular and stratospheric as one Madonna is. And how in the hell, with someone with so many singles, so many great songs, we had the unfortunate task of figuring out the very best one.
I was sitting here trying to think about it, and it's honestly, I don't know if we've somehow managed to be deficient when it comes to like our 80s re-racks, but she hasn't really come up that much in the show, and I don't know how.
I have a theory, but we'll get to that.
Okay.
Oh, very interesting. We might be bringing some science into the mix.
Nope.
No science. Science is off the table.
It's off the table. It's out the window, ran away.
I love it. No,
that was a Duran Duran lyric, not Madonna. Sorry.
No, I was with you. Hit me in the back room of my heart. No, that's not it. We're going to do this like we usually do. Each of us is going to get 2 minutes to state our case. 2 minutes is not enough time to talk about an artist like Madonna. That's kind of the point, because it forces us to get to the point. It forces us to be succinct, to get out all the talking points that we can in that short period of time, and try to convince our fellow hosts and all of you listeners what song is the best. We're probably going to get it wrong in the eyes of a lot of you, and we're going to tell you after we go through our spiels how you can tell us how we did get it wrong, and correct us with your thoughts on what the correct answer is. But before we get there, we have to actually get to our batting order. And that is something that, to this day, despite the fact that we've been doing this podcast for years and years now, we still don't do this ahead of time. So,
nope.
On to the Google random number generator, which will give us a order of Dan going first, generate, followed by Jay, and me taking up the rear.
Okay.
Please tell me you didn't try to hit it a third time to try and generate it to figure out, like, to make sure it was you.
We don't have to talk about it. The third one came up as a 1 anyway, so you would have been going twice by that measure. Again, we are prepared. We are professionals.
Listen, every once in a while, we wind up with a backup script anyhow, just in case, something goes sideways and we need to change our minds at the last minute.
I mean, yeah.
And by backup script, I mean pulled from ass. That's what I mean.
As is the vast majority of things that you hear on the show are pulled from an ass. One of three asses.
All of them.
Astronaut.
Ass number one. I've got your timer ready to go when you are.
Hey, number one.
Hey, number two. I don't know how I feel about that.
Nope.
Nope. Puts it in a different light, doesn't it?
Nope. Nope. No, sir. Do not like, I think. Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead and kick us off when you are ready, my friend.
Yeah, I'm just going to go again. And as much as I wanted to start off and writing a joke about, having shotties go back into my bodies, we're going to just completely ignore American life. And I guarantee you that you've done everything. So let's just move on. Once again, we do find ourselves, as Zach mentioned, with an artist who has a lot of songs, a lot of people would consider to be A tier, which for me means I could probably make a legit argument for its selection as that artist's best, which only really begs the big question, how to decide what is the true, real, the one song. Well, I think in this case, with an artist that is so embedded in what we consider the music video era of the 80s and 90s, you go with the song whose quality rises to that A tier and produces that moment in your head that will always be associated with both the artist and the video medium. When I apply that filter, there are two that come to mind for Madonna, so I go with the one that I'd put odds on that those two wouldn't pick if the choice came up. And therefore, Madonna's clear one song is 1990's Vogue. The first single off the album, I'm Breathless, which is actually the soundtrack to the movie Dick Tracy. Yes, that's an actual movie. Yes, I'd love to talk a lot about it, but that's another show. But the song from that flick that has lived on was one of Madonna's best-selling singles. This is a song very much of its time, but a song that has become very much timeless. It has that funky 90s house beat accentuated by pounding piano chords that builds one of the iconic dance tracks and auras of the era. It is escapism, and Madonna calls that out in the aspect in the lyrics. It is light while trying to do the heavy lift of bringing the underground dance scene to the mainstream while forging a new niche for Madonna to perfect while she was at her peak. And then there was the music video, which has become one of the first images you see in your head when you think of her career. I have more, but I'm running out of time. So with its impact, its music video, its success, and just being an incredible 90s dance track that is peak Madonna at peak Madonna, Vogue is her one song. Damn.
Right on time.
No, I was 5 seconds late, and that's the first time I have actually written too much.
You sped up your patter at the end. You started slow.
I had to.
I know.
Yeah.
There's
like half a paragraph that we'll get to later, I guess.
Oh, shit, yeah. Extra credit.
Yeah, right.
That's the rebuttal.
Of all the movies to have not one, not two, but three different soundtracks, depending on how you slice it up. Dick Tracy, of all things.
Yeah. I mean, you're not going to watch the movie that many times, so you may as well listen to the soundtrack a few times.
I have to, let's just get this out of the way now. Does do any of you actually remember legitimately anything about the movie?
Warren Beatty in a yellow trench coat.
Okay.
What he said.
Have either of you seen the movie front to back?
Yeah.
Okay.
I am the oldest of the three of us, though, so that kind of tracks.
But not by much.
No.
But you don't remember anything about the movie, and for whatever reason, I only remember a scene about a dude getting the old concrete shoes treatment.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. That's the only thing that hangs out. Like, that's it. Because a lot of times in my brain, Dick Tracy and the darker parts of Who Framed Roger Rabbit kind of combine.
Oh, I can see that.
So, like, I could see Christopher Lloyd threatening to dunk Warren Beatty in, a barrel of green toxic stuff. Either way.
Yeah. Here's my problem with your pick, though. I don't have an argument against it, but I don't agree with it. This is my problem.
Welcome to the Fairly KickAss podcast.
We don't have arguments, just disagreements.
Sometimes I have arguments. This is not one of those times.
And I mean, we're more civil when we have this. At least it's not a case of throwing fingers in your ears going, la, 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 you're just wrong.
It is essentially what I just did, though. I'm saying, no, you're wrong, and I don't have reasons why.
Yeah, but I hear that, and I just gotta go, oh, that just means I'm right.
Well, you haven't heard me talk yet, or Zach, so we'll
Which is why I still think I'm gonna be right.
That's fair.
Yeah, I wish I had more dissent for the pick. It's obviously it's an iconic Madonna track. It's one of a million iconic Madonna tracks.
That's right. Like, that's what I mean, I also had to consult multiple people to kind of help me figure out and like orient my thinking on this.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until someone came with connect the song to the image in your head, and that helped me get over the top.
It's barely a song, though. Like, I'm trying to orient my thoughts around why I don't agree with your pick. And it's a chorus, and the chorus is fire. And then there's the rest of it, which is not really a song.
It's a spoken verse.
Yeah, but it's a spoken verse over a dance pop track. It's the Real McCoys.
Real McCoy, singular.
Whatever.
Not on this show, Zach. Save it for later.
Okay, but I think I did just nail why I don't agree with your pick, and that's picture Real McCoy. No, I said it right that time. The Real McCoy. Picture the Real McCoy doing that song, and it sounds right.
No, still doesn't.
As much as I love the Real McCoy, I'm with Dan. Like
Ginger Rogers, Dance on Air. Like, I can hear it.
You can hear it. It's not that song, but sure, you can go ahead and give it the Aqua treatment. You can do it. It doesn't make it right, but you could do it.
Nope, I'm right.
Yeah,
well,
go ahead. You're wrong.
Yeah, okay, go ahead then and convince me otherwise, because I happen to have a stopwatch here with your name on it.
Yeah, well,
actually,
you're not
I
what I'm about to say.
It says Seiko. You're not Seiko, are you?
I don't think so.
I mean, look, whatever you did in your 20s is whatever you did in your 20s. But you can go ahead and start whatever you want.
All right, here we go. You're not going to like this, by the way. Before I really get into the specific song, I'd like to point something out. Actually, that's not true. I hate that I'm about to say this, and I mega loathe myself for not being able to bite my tongue. But here goes. As it turns out, I don't particularly love Madonna. I thought I did. I have distinct memories of enjoying Madonna songs, and whilst going back through the catalog, I found that outside of a handful of absolute bangers, this catalog is not as great as memory would have me believe. So my criteria for the one song that rules that particular catalog were thus. The song has to be well suited to Madonna's over-dramatic tendencies, which narrows the list considerably. The song had to have that iconic 80s, 90s production that she used well into the 2000s. Which brings me to the part that clinched it for me. She had to present that she connected genuinely with the material, and that was pretty rare. So all of that led me to Papa Don't Preach. Of the dozen or so of her songs that I would call great, it's just about the only one that fulfills all the requirements. The song is a socially conscious, cautionary tale that Madonna correctly predicted would be misunderstood and taken the wrong way. So it checks another of my boxes there too, the song that pokes the bear, stirring controversy, and comes out on the right side of history. The song's production is peak 80s as a Baroque dance pop tune with synth bass and emulated strings. And Dan, to one of your points, the video is top tier. Papa Don't Preach is the 9th consecutive top 10 hit for Madonna from her third record, True Blue. It is hands down the best track on that record, bests everything that came previously, though I'm willing to accept arguments on that front. And only one song since then is even in the running. I will now accept your vigorous nods of approval.
I feel like I'm going to have to be you and let you keep talking before I come up with a counterpoint, because I don't have one, because it fell into that A tier that I could legitimately make an argument for being so. Like I thought you were going to, when you were like, oh, you're not going to like this. You're not going to like, it's like, what are you going to name Hollywood your number one fucking song? Like
No, more that like the fact that I, gone to the attitude of someone who doesn't love Madonna. Like the song choice, I thought legitimately the song choice was something we could have agreed on, but that my run up to it was going to be the thing that you didn't agree with.
I've been hogging the conversation, but I can say I will concede that point that I can completely understand it. And like to be honest, it's not like Madonna's an artist for me that keeps coming up in a ton of playlists outside of nostalgia hits. Like, and we can talk about that after the fact and kind of why she occupies the space she does, even though she's still technically making new music.
Right. I think one thing that you said that surprised me was that you found so, I guess, unexpectedly little of this catalog that you truly enjoyed. Yeah. I felt exactly the opposite way. Okay. I loved way more of this discography, a lot more songs in this catalog that I hadn't heard, especially in I think maybe we can write off like the last 4 albums and not discuss those, but at least several tracks in the earlier discography, like, yeah, way more than I would have expected. Even outside of the big singles.
Yeah, well, I found that some of the big singles were more saccharine, and no, that's the wrong word. Some of them were, but more of the singles were less enjoyable than I remembered them being. Some of the album tracks came out rosier.
I'll agree with that.
Than what I remembered, but for the most part, the hype missed. I like it. I had built it up in my head too, like, and maybe a song or two at a time, and I would have had a different opinion. Or in a different week, I would have had a different opinion.
Well, that might be too, but you brought up that good point about more than one at a time, and then the concept of her being the penultimate or one of the ultimate radio artists of an era.
Yeah,
and that's the different thing is you can consume her at a different pace than if you just sat and shotgun albums like we tend to do for this particular thing. So that might easily be a thing, and I agree. We can get to it in the list, but I find the stuff that one would clearly go more saccharine to be the stuff that I kind of push down to the B's. Like,
yeah,
fine, but like you've done like 6 other songs that sound almost the exact same, and I already have a case of the sugars from the first 2, so I think I can put those back to and just kind of put those in one group.
And for me, like that's the thing that pushed Papa Don't Preach to the front, is because it is in that era of all of that, and yet is still S tier for me.
Yes.
Yeah, a fairly unique song in the discography.
Yes.
For sure.
Sorry to take all the air out of the room. I have your clock when you're ready, Zach.
Well, this is one of those typical times. I'm not ready, by the way, but this is one of those typical times where, like, I don't want to go where I wish I'd kind of pulled the lever and went first, because I'm going to go in a completely different direction. I'm ready, by the way, now.
Okay, well.
Yeah. Before I keep talking, I'm
look,
ready.
I the only reason I have to check to make sure, because I guarantee you that he stopped writing in the last like 30 seconds.
It wasn't 30. It was 30 minutes, but not 30 seconds.
Okay. That's improving.
Yeah. I was ready-ish.
Whatever you're ready, go ahead. Start.
All right. So you guys touched on it way better than I could, which I appreciate you doing, by the way. And that is the concept of a signature sound, right? We do these one songs. We always try to look for that. The Queen of Pop, of course, is no different. Y'all quantified it better than I could, so I won't rehash that. But essentially, there is a sound that's associated with Madonna. Let me rephrase that. There are sounds that are associated with Madonna. There's more than one. I don't think that many folks, at least in the earlier part of her catalog, understood that there was a second sound, and that is the one that is more down-tempo. That is the sound that's more serious. It's no less Madonna than anything else in her catalog, certainly. It is not necessarily the dancey, upbeat tracks that have been the charting singles, and as such have not gotten as much visibility, as much radio airplay as the others, but that doesn't mean that they're any less important. I would say Like a Prayer was kind of the start of that, where there were several tracks that you could point to that had that more serious sound. And that's where I plucked my one song from, and that was Oh Father. A song about Madonna's mother's death from breast cancer when she was just 5 years old, as well as the resentment and strained relationship that caused her and her titular father to have. It's not a common theme for Madonna's catalog, but in a lot of ways it really is. Because there were not as many, but there were several songs that fit a more serious motif. And I feel that for an artist that is so celebrated, that we need to look at the other side of the coin too. Yes, it broke a streak of 16 consecutive top 5 singles on the Billboard Hot 100, but I feel hopefully fans looking back will appreciate it more for the amazing song that it is.
Talk about dead on.
Whew. I changed a lot of what I wrote based on.
I was going to say he had more written and stopped.
Yeah.
I had more and different. Like y'all kind of changed the way I was going to say things in a lot of ways.
That's fair. That happens a lot. I can't say how many times that has happened. But I also don't disagree. I can't. I have a counterpoint to that. I am impressed that is the direction that was gone. And none of the three of us went for the obvious pick, which I am so proud of. We're still managed to do the biggest pop artist of a 30-year period and still get sort of elitist with our picks about it. I love it.
Elitism is still sexy.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I don't have an argument against your pick, except that song falls into that category for me of that whole album actually falls into the category of overdone.
I can see that. I can absolutely see that.
Yeah.
With some of the tracks. I don't know that I would agree with that for Oh Father, but I would absolutely agree with some of the other tracks that feel a bit too much. Even the ones that do also have serious themes.
I do like that about your pick is that it's one of the ones that is more, and actually that there's a lot of that on that album, but where it's a little more serious, and that's good. It's not an album that I don't, let me rephrase this. I don't dislike anything that she released really prior to Ray of Light. There's nothing to say that I dislike the tracks, but this album felt like she was moving into that super theatrical, like where she wanted to be Evita. And this is that pocket right before she started hitting really in movies. And you can feel that, like it's overdone, it's overdrawn. And I think for me, it was a turnoff.
I think my counter argument's more conceptual than actually something to talk about the song, but like that's also her.
I know.
Like that is sort of in the same along. Well, and again, this comparison has been made dozens and dozens and dozens of times to the point where it's now hacked to say so, but along the same lines that a lot of Lady Gaga's presentation is over the top, and there's a lot more to it than you would expect in just a regular pop song. But that's also her. That is her. I don't want to say character, but that's that's the artist, the characterization of artistry. And if you know that going in, that's not necessarily a barrier. I don't know. I mean, like, look at this album specifically seems like it's the closest to Evita without being Evita.
Yeah. That I mean, right. I agree with everything you just said, but for me, she has songs that don't fall into that, and for me, that's better. When it's her, she still has that dramatic tendency, but the songs are better.
Right.
Again, not that this is a bad song by any stretch. It's a good song, but for me, it's utterly forgettable. I
could see that too. I mean, the album as a whole is a departure from everything up until that point. Yeah. To me, it was like a gut punch. I was like, oh shit, is this the same artist? Did I accidentally switch to someone else and not realize it? In a good way. Don't get me wrong.
I do find it funny, and I'm about to give up an honorable mention here, but I do find it funny that, so I mentioned in my choice, my 2-minute block, that there's only one song since True Blue that is even in the running. And it's really funny to me because it's one of those super over dramatic tunes that is only available on the A League of Their Own sound. Actually, it's not even on the A League of Their Own soundtrack. It's on a separate ballad thing that she released because it wasn't on the soundtrack for contractual issues. And that's This Used to Be My Playground, which is a super dramatic track, but I thought she pulled it off.
Yeah, it's like, I think like Dan said, that's just her. That's just her style. Yep. That's just her. It's not even a style. That's just her embodiment. That's her composition.
Mm-hmm. Also, I might have been swayed by its participation in that movie because I love that movie.
Well, 10 out of 10, no notes there, but
well, Dan, what did end up in your notes as far as other tracks that you would have almost made the cut for?
Well, there's a lot there, and I actually I had 5 that I wanted to make sure to mention, but fuck it, we're already on the whole list. And This Used to Be a Playground is one of those because of like you said, just the aura of the whole thing. And then if you speed that up and put more of it, to me, again, the delivery, you speed it up, put a little bit dancier beat to it, you get Secret. It's up there. Another one was off a movie soundtrack, and I forget the fucking name of the movie, but Sean Penn is in it, and it's Live to Tell.
Oh, I should know this too.
I know, and I can look. I want to look it up, but I don't because I
won't say anything.
Sean Penn is in there. Gary Busey's not in it. Why have I seen Gary Busey?
Wait, I feel like this isn't the stuff from like the Vision Quest soundtrack, is it?
No, because that was that Crazy for You? Which is up there too.
Oh yeah,
by the way.
Yeah, that's on there. I don't know. I'm drawing a blank.
The worst part is Live to Tell is off of it's off of True Blue at close range.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
It's Sean Penn, Christopher Walken. Oh, that's right. The mustache threw me off. Okay. Wasn't because I was going to also highlight I'll Remember, which I also believe was off a soundtrack.
I remember.
Body of Evidence. Okay.
Yep.
Jesus. Into the Groove is one of those saccharine songs, but it also is damn good, and it gets there. Rain goes up there. Open Your Heart is in there. Take a Bow because it's crosses that, but yeah. I had Papa Don't Preach. Crazy for You, as I mentioned. I'm not gonna lie, the first thing I thought about doing, because I knew it would be more of a troll for the both of you, was trying to come up with an argument for La Isla Bonita, but I just couldn't. I wouldn't disagree with
you. I love that.
But I couldn't. But that's the thing. But I sat there. I thought that's my personal favorite. Mm-hmm. So does that fit here? Isn't it like that argument between my favorite and the best? Like that's not always. Those definitely don't always come in the same form. Like they're not always parallel. So.
Yeah. I don't have an argument for that. It's really funny that you brought that up because before I started listening, I thought my pick was going to be La Isla Bonita.
Yeah, right. That was what I first went in thinking of. The two other things I will mention is what I would lose money, which is why my DraftKings account keeps dwindling, because I would have sworn somebody would have actually grabbed Like a Prayer, following that criteria of having that picture, because I think there's one of those images. Again, the images that everyone seems to conjure are her voguing and her standing in front of that burning cross or standing in front of the statue in the video. Mm-hmm. Like those are just moments. Iconic. Exactly.
I do have, oh, sorry, go ahead, you finish first.
And I would say I was willing to throw a bone to one of them, which one of her things since the mid 90s. I enjoyed 4 Minutes.
Yeah. 4 Minutes wasn't bad. Yeah. 4 Minutes was very Timberland, but it wasn't.
It was very Timberland. It was very Timberlake, but it was all right.
No.
Madonna's barely there.
I know. So I immediately kicked it down. Like, mention it, but like, it's not. There's not a chance it was ever going to really be the one.
Unfortunately, my image of Like a Prayer is she did some awards show where I can't remember what it was, probably a decade ago now, where she performed Like a Prayer on stage with like a choir going on behind her, and she forgot the words to her own fucking song.
Yikes.
Oh, that's a problem.
And that song is like 90% chorus, so there's no excuse for that.
Truth. I mean, I have some personal pictures of it in the back of my head, but that's only because of the dancing at 80s night, and there was already an established dance that we picked up. And anyway.
Yeah. The only things I want to add for my honorable mentions, like for me, the number 2 was This Used to Be My Playground. And then beyond that, it got pretty slim pickings. So I went back to some of the ones. And honestly, they're both pretty saccharine too. So I broke my own rules for my honorable mentions. But I truly enjoy Material Girl as a song. I think it's another culturally iconic moment for her. And one of the reasons that she gets put on this pedestal. And then Borderline for a lot of the same reasons. That's it. That's all I got.
The one memory I have of Material Girl, I feel like it somewhere at some point featured in an episode of Tiny Toon Adventures, which was like my first exposure to the song. It's like, this is great. So. This cartoon song is awesome. Imagine my shock years later when I hear Madonna singing it on the radio.
She's covering Babs Bunny.
Did they clear that with Warner Brothers? Oh gosh, I was very not musically inclined as a child, as y'all can tell. I am not going to go through my entire 44 song honorable mention, A, because it'll take forever, and B, because y'all mentioned several of them already. I'll pick out a few that I thought were more interesting, less of the super common songs, I guess, but there are going to be at least a few of them in there too. On Like a Virgin, she did a cover of Love Don't Live Here Anymore that was kind of dope. It was pretty haunting. She certainly wasn't as vocally mature as she is now. Obviously, she was much younger and much less experienced, but it still sounded pretty good. I don't know if either of you mentioned Cherish yet. I wouldn't say it was one of her best, but it certainly is more of in the favorites category as opposed to the best category. It's just a fun, jaunty little bop. Since you mentioned I'm Breathless, I will also put up there I'm Going Bananas, which is the I left my wallet in El Segundo of Madonna's fucking kettle. This is my revenge for that horseshit. As soon as I heard it, I was like, yes, perfect.
I can't come up with a better way to try to compare Madonna to Tribe Called Quest.
Nope. No, I think that. Nope, you're good there.
First and last time anyone's ever done that.
Ever. We break ground here on the Fairly KickAss podcast. Much to your chagrin most of the time.
Yeah.
Something.
Chagrining all over the place.
Let's see. From Evita, not Don't Cry For Me Argentina, but You Must Love Me is a beautiful, beautiful song. It's not a Madonna song at all, which is why I certainly couldn't even put it in the running for the one song. But as a song of its own merit, gorgeous song, really well developed, or really well performed, rather. She absolutely knocked it out of the park. Beautiful Stranger is a jam, and I don't care what the fuck either of you say. That's it. That's my list.
Nope.
I don't orchestra up.
Yeah. I don't know what to say to some of that. I will say this. I feel pretty vindicated in what I said about her, even after hearing all of your lists and listening to you talk about the songs. I feel pretty strongly in my pick and in how I got there. And I will say that as I was coming up with it, and I was talking to my significant other, making dinner and jamming to some Madonna playlists in the kitchen. And so what are your favorite Madonna songs? And the first 3 songs she listed were all Cyndi Lauper. So
granted, that would have been me before this exercise. So I feel that.
So I feel pretty good about it. Right.
She's got that one about masturbation too. What is it?
she did.
Yeah. Actually, that
she do bop.
Yeah,
she did. That express herself.
Work.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Just trying to work in a joke about banging Vanilla Ice, but it just wasn't coming.
I think that is the joke.
Well played.
I can unintentionally be your straight man there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but the real question, I suppose, is asking you, those of you, if you're still here and subjecting yourselves to this show, how far off or on are we in our picks for Madonna's one song? And not the only, well, no, I guess it would be the only way, because it's not like you got my phone number or anything. So Zach would be able to tell you the ways to get in touch with us and tell us whether or not, no, because I was going to say whether or not you think we're jackasses or not. And that could be whether you agree with us or not, really.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell us we're a jackass and which one of us is more right in your opinion.
Correct.
Yeah, both of those will probably be true at the end of the day.
Exactly.
Yes.
And we want to know the answer to both of those questions. Are we jackasses? And which one of us was right, if any of us? At Fairly KickAss, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok will get you to us on the social medias. fairlykickass@gmail.com will get you to us on the emails. fairlykickass.com will get you to us in a musical sense, which is our ride-along playlist, where you can listen to all the songs we talked about, both the one songs and the litany of honorable mentions. Certainly there's a wide array of Madonna songs that we didn't even discuss, that we didn't even talk about, and also just happen to be bangers. So don't take that playlist as restrictive at all. Go out and listen to all these albums, front to back, top to bottom. Maybe take a pass of Hard Candy because it's not great, but every other album, take a listen. And I think you're going to find a lot of stuff that we didn't talk about that you will also enjoy.
Or not.
Or maybe not. You're right. Not is an option.
I was literally sitting here going, I thought Hard Candy was a Counting Crows record. They both are. They both have records called Hard Candy.
Holy shit.
That's not the first place my brain went to. Was her? What were the songs on that one?
Well, I think we've decided it then. Counting Crows and one song coming to your earballs sometime in the near future. See which Hard Candy is the best Hard Candy.
I got an opinion.
I'm okay with this. I'll give it a shot. And it's Little Miss Can't Be Wrong. Continue.